welcome to my space. Welcome to my space, you guys. Yesterday I posted a modified bloom piece on Facebook and I forgot to push go on record, so there was no video. And a couple ladies have asked if I could repeat the process and this time push go. So I did. I pushed go. So we're going to do a modified bloom, roughly the same colors. Maybe we'll throw a little bit more in. So my first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put some black onyx by Walmart on this hexagonal tile. And this is just essentially the pillow for our bloom. And then we're going to bloom on that. We're going to scoop it up and transfer it. And I think we're going to modify. So because we're going on to black on black, I'm going to add a fair amount of white to this. I wasn't 100% sure once dried if I had added enough white last night. It looks okay, but I would like to have more white. So this is just white from a company called, I think it's called North Shore Acrylics. I got it at Walmart. Cheapy white. All right, all my fave colors. Here we go. So this is a raw umber. It's not your traditional raw umber. It's from a company here called Four Cats, and they do acrylic painting classes, not pour painting, just acrylic on canvas. And so they have all their own paints, and I bought 4 little cupfuls at the Value Village for like $4.99, 5 cupfuls. So that's what they're calling raw umber. This is TLP Zeus. Another beautiful TLP pigment. This is Interference Red by Jacquard. So the interference colors, if you're not familiar with them, go on just kind of this white, milky white color, and they dry, leaving behind these beautiful just sparkles of red. So you'll look at them one way and they don't really look like anything, and then as you tip your canvas or your tile, then you'll see the red. Beautiful, beautiful. So this one is TLP Honeycomb. So I changed my pouring medium again. I do that quite frequently. And the main reason I changed it is because I don't like Behr 8300. I never have. And if you follow me, you will know that I'm a Valspar girl. But Valspar is another casualty of COVID, and so we're unable to get Valspar paints right now. We can get base C. I don't particularly like it. I know it works. It's not my favorite. So, because necessity is the mother of invention, quinacridone nickel gold, you guys. I kind of figured a way to make my Behr 8300 work so that there is a continuity in my lines and modifications. And it's super simple. Okay, this is Boom Gel in silver, also mixed with the same pouring medium. So I've been using this pouring medium for quite a long time, and I didn't realize that so many people were having issues with Behr 8300. I've always had them. This is Montemart Hot Pink. I've always had issues with Behr 8300. It's this, for me, it's just this weird gelatinous consistency, and I hear you guys, you pour your pour and it's beautiful, and you walk away overnight and you come back to this just mushy puddle in the center. So my pouring medium's really easy. It's the same one I've been using for a long time for different pours. It's in the description boxes. And it's a simple mix of what I'm just going to call 3, 2, 1 and another one. So my first part mixed in Dixie cups is just US floetrol. So I strain it through a pair of pantyhose right out of the bottle, and I mixed, like I said, in Dixie cups. So 3 Dixie cups of that, 2 Dixie cups of the Behr 8300, 1 Dixie cup of Minwax polyacrylic, and then another one is Elmers Glue All. Elmer's Glue All seems to be, for me, the key to what keeps the Behr 8300 from melting and dissolving. And I add anywhere from 1 equal part to lower, depending. I kind of eyeball it. All right, so we're going to blow it out with, actually, let's use a white cell mix. And that's kind of been a game changer for me. So whether it works for you or not, I don't know. I suggest that you take a recipe from anyone that is tried and true and you know it works, and mix in small quantities and kind of just figure out for yourself what works for you, because we're all really different. All right, my friends, the blowout. My cell mix might be a tiny bit thick. So this is the standard Australian cell mix. I mix mine a little bit thicker again, so that there is a continuity between my lines and cells. And because I do a lot of stretching and, you know, spinning, yeah, I like it a little bit thicker. So I think the general formula is like 3 to 1. I probably do 2.5 to 1. Depending, if I keep cells, great. If I don't, it's not all about cells for me, although they're lovely and the lacing is lovely, but I'm happy just to kind of have a really pretty blend of colors. And yeah, as long as the end result is pretty, I'm not too fussy whether I have cells. So while I'm talking, and this is just developing a little bit more, I may have to blow this out a tiny bit in some of the thicker spots. So let's give it a bit of a go here now. Yesterday I was mucking around with my paints and they were all really mixed up. So I mixed up some new pouring medium this morning and just kind of added to the pots. I thinned a lot of my paints, and then I didn't like them thin, and then I thickened it. And I think that's really why it's important for you to find what works best for you, because we're all really different. Which is a good thing, because it would be a totally boring world if we were all the same. All right, so we're going to flood this, which is a 4x16 ceramic tile. I don't do anything to them. I don't prep them. I just give them a wash. And I'm going to actually change position to about there. And we're going to flood this with the same black onyx Walmart paint. I don't know if I mentioned that. If I did, just fast forward through this bit. This is black onyx from Walmart. Wonderfully thick. It's the only black paint that I use. But it is extremely thick, so be prepared. Sometimes I thin it with a tiny bit of water or floetrol. Sometimes I just use it straight up. So today we're going to do straight up. And then we're going to pick up that puddle that we already poured, and we're going to scoop it up, and we're going to transfer it onto this. And it's sort of as simple as that. So I don't pick up in any particular fashion. I'm using a little piece of cardboard. I fold it on the ends. Plain cards, you can get them from the dollar store or the secondhand stores, or you probably have them sitting around your house. A plain card works really well. It's a semi-plasticized surface, so you can actually use it again. And I just fold it. So it basically looks like a staple, and it adds little walls so that I'm not so sloppy. That's why. All right, so let's scoop up. Let's go this way. So you're just gonna let your paint kind of holding your card as flat to your surface as you can. You're just gonna scoop your paint up and allowing it the time it wants to roll down the tile. And we're gonna transfer it. So because we're always spinning and tilting these pours, we want to try to keep our design fairly centered, so that any of the cells that we do have, we hopefully can keep. If we can't, we can't. I'm going to modify this piece, so it doesn't much matter to me, but they are always pretty to have. All right, now we're going to scoop up another section. I'm going to come in over here. And we're going to add. So if you were using a pillow base that's a different color, when you turn your hand, you would expose your base paint underneath. So if you're using another color, sometimes it's really fun to turn your hand, and then where you see these little folds, you would get a flash of the underneath base color. I'm using black. doesn't matter, black on black. So I don't have any variation in the folds, but I have nice, clean, crispy lines at this point. And I have negative space, which is another thing I really look for if I'm modifying, because I like to have space between the colors so that we have kind of just more things to work with. If it's a solid piece with solid color, then there really isn't a lot of lines that you can modify. That's my theory, you guys. So I'm kind of like footloose and fancy free for a couple hours. My granddaughter's at daycare. She had a sleepover with Nanny last night, so I should actually be resting because she's this wiggle worm and she chatters half the night and she sleeps horizontal in a queen size bed. So I found myself, as always, I find myself eventually moving my pillows so that I too am sleeping horizontally because she gets me crammed over to one side and I just can't even move. So I'm a little bit tired, but we have to take advantage of blank spaces in the day where she's not home. So I think I'm going to run another swatch of color up here, and I'm going to hope that I don't add too much. I just like to see a little bit more. So let's just do the same thing. And let's come in right here. So, my card's bending. Okay, so last night's pour, my modified pour, what I didn't get to share with you because I didn't push go was that my base, my pillow, was neutral. So I didn't have any pigment. I didn't actually have paint. I used Ultra Deep Base and Floetrol, and I just left it neutral. So I did some pieces a while back where I left my base neutral, and it was kind of an interesting effect because if the top layer of paint are translucent colors, then you can see through them to the layer below. And I was actually trying to kind of work on that a little bit more, but then I just get all wrapped up in having fun and I forget that I was trying to actually achieve a specific goal. All right, we're going to spin this. We're going to wipe off my hands and then we're going to modify it the same as yesterday. So I'm going to do a super quick wipe up so that it's not so distracting for me. And maybe a little bit of tilting here. So your stretching of your paint is really important to just elongate any cells. I've lost a lot of my cells, but like I said, I'm not super fond, I love cells. I'm just not super, I don't care if I have them or not is what I'm trying to say in a kind of weird roundabout way. All right. Okay, let's bring you guys back down and let's play with this. Can you see? So my modifying tools are pretty simple, you guys, and anybody that follows me, you guys all know they're just basic things that you have, again, sitting around your house. I'm going to move this a little bit though, because I think you're probably not on the frame. Are you back? So it's interesting now when I'm looking in the camera, these colors are completely off in the camera because this one color is pink. So I'm going to try to darken this a bit. I don't know if that's any better for you guys, but this color here is actually bright pink, and it's no wonder why nothing makes sense when I post it on Facebook and people often say, oh, that doesn't look like the same thing. All right, let's worry less about that and let's get some modifying tools happening. So the first thing you need is a paper towel because you want to wipe off your stick as you go so that you're not transferring colors into black or black into colors. So just a paper towel. Oh my God, I can't even talk. So this is just a basic little wooden manicure kit thing, like a nail cleaner. And we're just going to make lines, you guys. All really simple. You can start wherever you want and just make some lines. So the tidier your lines now, obviously, the tidier the outcome will be. So try to, you know what, take some time. I can putter around here sometimes for a really, really long time, just adding little embellishments and little details. And it's a process. But it's a process that's worth taking the time and effort because, like I said, the tidier you make them now, the tidier the outcome in the end. When I'm by myself, I go considerably faster than this, but for the sake of videoing, we're going to try to maybe speed things up a bit. So contrasting lines always will yield you the best patterns. But they're not necessary. This piece doesn't have a ton of contrast in it, but it's okay because my colors are just pounded in there and they're saturated and they're crisp. And that's kind of really what I prefer in my pours. But that's just me, you guys. That is just me. And then let's go back over here somewhere. So these movements are super, super simple, you guys. These are just your basic line work. I couldn't draw a stick family, so you don't have to be able to draw to do this. You just have to kind of look at your piece and figure out where you're going to add and what you're going to do. So this time I've left the paint on. So if you want to make those funky little almost flower stamen, I went through it and I left the colored acrylic on, and I'm just going to go back up and through it again. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And it creates a very floral look. So if you're working a lot with like pinks and oranges and floral colors, it's a really, really fun way to just kind of get a floral vibe going. I'm going to get a piece of paper towel to lean on because my table's all dirty. And generally what I do is I stick my elbow on the table and then I get paint everywhere. Not that I don't get paint everywhere anyway. I dropped my stick. Okay, let's just keep playing with this. I kind of like these lines. All right, so for the sake of this piece and the modifying, let's just go bananas. Let's just do it right up, and I will go through all of the things that I do. And it might be overkill in the end because sometimes less is more, but let's just do it. So the next thing I like to use is just a popsicle stick. These are the fat ones. And they're super fun to just put between a line and just gently rock it back and forth. And it creates this intricate little chain pattern. Walmart's paint is a funny consistency too. It's quite sort of stringy and stretchy. So sometimes I get not as a clean of line as I like. I actually have too much base paint on this, I can tell just by the way this is not picking up nicely. So I think we're gonna spin it out. So it's a super good test for me to know if my base paint is working correctly. I know it's too thick, or it's too thick as far as there's too much on the tile. But as long as I spin it and my pattern remains intact, obviously it's going to spread out. We're going to lose a little, but the shape should all remain. And that's a really good indicator for me if my paint is correct. So let's spin this, you guys. Yep, looking pretty good. All right, and again. All right, let's try to tidy some of these. It's a little bit better. Let's put one more up here. So if you want to do a wider line, like say you want it to do this and your popsicle stick doesn't reach both sides because you have to touch the base on either side, you can just roll it back and forth and just pick it up really gently. For these little lines, there is lots of space between. All right, so I screwed that up because I slopped it. So I'm going to come in here again with my manicure tool and I'm just going to go through this and we're just going to pretend that that mishap didn't happen. And we're just going to change our composition like that. So we can add some small lines, either with your manicure implement or a toothpick works really well, or what works even nicer is those really fine, they're like dental picks, like dental, and they have a pointy end. They work really well as well. Kind of anything, you guys. I'm going to use a toothpick. So I don't like, I have a dot, a black dot right there. I don't like it. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to go through this. So the wider the angle you hold your implement in, the wider the line. So if you want fine lines, hold your popsicle sticks or your manicure tools or whatever it is you're modifying with, hold it straight up. If you want a wider line, hold it on an angle. So I kind of want a medium line. So I'm going to come in right here and we're going to go through that dot and then I don't have to look at it. And then back to narrow. And every line changes your composition. Okay, let's make some fine detailed lines. So I'm going to switch to a toothpick and we're just going to literally just pull this in spots. Again, you can go just bananas and really, really create some intricate details if that's what you want to do. It's entirely up to you. It's just a fun way to kind of really add some visual interest to your painting. And these sell really well. It's always interesting, and I've said this a million times. I have a little restaurant down the road that takes my pieces in, and I paint something and I resin it and I think it's absolutely gorgeous and it sits there. And then I take something in like this that's completely off the wall and a little bit different and it's gone. So they do sell really well. They sell really well at craft markets. they sell super well in the restaurant. And maybe it's just because they're just a bit different. I don't know. All right, so I'm not going to add any more lines, but what we're going to do is add some colored dots. So again, you're just going to take your toothpick or your modifying tool or whatever it is you want to add. And again, I don't know what color I want to add, maybe yellow. The larger the implement, the larger the dot. So we're just going to dip it right into our same fluid paint that we use to pour. And we're just going to make some little dots. So it's all done wet on wet, as you can see. Sometimes I modify dry, in which case I take a Posca pen. But usually I do wet on wet. Let's pick a brighter color so you guys can see. Let's do hot pink. Yowza. All right, we'll do a whole line of hot pink. So I don't necessarily dip every time. And you can make your dots bigger by just letting it go farther down, and you can make them smaller by just touching the edges and not dipping. You can put dots outside of your colors. Where would be a good place? Well, it doesn't much matter. This is just all the tutorial on how-tos. So let's put some pink dots up here. So we're going to make that one bigger. And we're just going to go to the line. That one's bigger. So, you know, just experiment, you guys. Like, it's so easy to kind of get really lost in, for me, in this technique. I can spend a really long time, like I said, doodling, and quite often I overdo it because, like I say, sometimes less really is more, but sometimes more is more. So we need some balance, so we're going to put some more pink dots in this section. I didn't do a very good job on that either. All right, those look better. So I have one little pink dot where I shouldn't have a pink dot. So we're going to use the clean end of the popsicle stick, and just as you, or the popsicle stick, the toothpick, and just as you would pop a bubble, you're just going to pop it down and get rid of that. If you forget and you like your piece and it's dried and you go back and think, oh crap, there's a dot there that shouldn't be, just take a felt pen with the same color and just touch it up. So again, we're looking for some balance. So we're going to put some pink lines on, pink dots on this section of black, and then we're going to be done. You've seen some pieces where I have done little hearts, and they're all done with dots, you guys. I'm just going to move this. I'll show you. It's super easy. And let's do it with a bigger stick. Maybe you can see. Hearts. Dot, dot. Hearts. But it's much better, obviously, on a painted surface and not on my tile, but that's how easy it is to just make some dots. Make some hearts. Okay, so the only other thing that I do is I do have a utensil that is a stainless steel cocktail skewer, and it has a ball on it. So some of the pieces that you've seen where I have these little curly cues, I make that with those stainless steel kebab sticks. I can't find them right now. Somewhere in my messy space. What else do I do? Oh, I know. So if you want to, again, kind of add some details, you can take your, I'm going to use my toothpick. You can take your toothpick and just come back through these the other way and pull them out into fancy little points. Again, you can create some really interesting floral type looks. I have done some blooms where I've like pulled those fine little details out. Yeah, it's easy, guys, easy peasy. You guys can all do this. If I can do it, you can do it. Guaranteed. I cannot draw. Like I said, if I had to draw a stick family, yeah, I'd be buggered. All right, I'm going to put you on hold. You guys have to excuse the color because this is going to be pretty amazing when you see the colors in this, because for some reason my video is just crappy. All right, on hold. Here we go. Okay, we're back and we're above. So I made this considerably darker, and in order to go down and look at all the little details, I'm going to have to put the light back on, but this is a more accurate portrayal of these colors. So my pink dots are neon pink. They really are. I'm going to turn it off again. You'll see the difference. Oh, I turned you off, not the light. Okay, let's try that again. So that's what you guys have been looking at. That is not what this looks like. So let's go down and take a look at the closer. I'm going to make it dark again. All right, that's better. So now the neon pink is pink. Oh, you bugger. My cameras and stuff just hate me. Let's lock it down. Okay, intricate little details. Hard to see the lacing now because we have drawn lines through it and we've modified it all. But all in all, it's a pretty interesting piece. Like I said, these sell really, really well. So most of my pieces, I resin the fronts. I don't like messy edges, so I scrape all my edges off. And then I put a D-ring hanger on the back secured with E6000. And I use the automotive one because it's a little bit more of a rubbery consistency, so it still allows some flexibility. And then I cover the entire thing with that blue stuff. Oh my goodness. Felt you guys. All right, thank you for listening to me, who has kind of like a mouthful of marbles today. You guys can all do this. You really can. Your consistency is your #1 key. And once you have your consistency down and you're pouring medium down, the rest is entirely up to you, my friends. All right, take care, and we shall talk again really, really soon. Bye, guys.